Hi everybody, welcome back to Handmade. So today we're going to be making reusable produce bags. Anytime I go to the supermarket, I always bring my reusable tote bags, but then I go to the produce section and I'm just grabbing all of these plastic bags. So I was like, why not also make those reusable as well? We will be using a sewing machine for this project, but it is very, very easy. So this is a great first project if you're just learning how to use the sewing machine. And you know, if you're an experienced sewer, you can knock these out in like 10 minutes. So we're going to be making two versions. There's going to be a cotton version and a mesh version. And they're made the exact same way, but I think it'll be easier to see what I'm doing on the cotton fabric. So let's start there. So the fabric that I'm using is actually something that I cut from an old dish towel. It is 100% cotton, and this is really important. The end doesn't fray. I mean, it frays a little, but you want fabric that kind of stays together, that's not fraying all over the place. So I actually have this doubled over. You're gonna want a really long rectangle like this. The measurements for this project do not have to be exact. Mine is about 28 by 13.5 inches, but really just use what you have and, you know, try to get your numbers somewhere around there. So you're going to fold your fabric in half so that you have the right sides facing each other. This will be the outside of the bag in the end. And you can see that we have a nice fold right here at the bottom. Now we're just going to grab a pin and we're gonna measure down 2 inches, and we're just going to insert a pin right there. And then we'll just repeat that on the other side. So there's another 2 inches. And then we're just going to pin all the way down the sides from these pins that we just inserted right down to the fold. I actually just got these little sewing clips, so that's what I'm going to be using. All right, so now we're just gonna sew down both sides of the bag. And you can make sure to go over the stitches a few extra times at the top and at the bottom, just to reinforce it, which will make the bag a little bit stronger. So now that we have our bag sewn, you can see that the sides are nice and strong. You can go ahead and remove those 2 pins that we put in earlier. And as you go, just make sure that you're trimming any loose threads. So now we're going to kind of fold this so that this seam that we just sewed is right here in the middle. And we're going to just continue folding the seam the same length inwards as we sewed it down here. And then we're going to sew down this V line that we've created. You can press this with an iron if you want to, but it's such a small area, you don't really need to. So let's go ahead and sew that. So you can see how nice and clean that looks, having these finished edges going all the way up. Of course, we'll want to do that on both sides, so here is how the other side turned out. And now we're just going to fold down the top of each side 1 inch so that the top of the fabric lines up with the bottom of that V that we just sewed. And my fabric already has a finished edge because this used to be a dishcloth, but if yours is a raw edge, you can either just leave it like we did on the sides, or you can tuck it under and then fold the inch downwards. So we're just going to get that nice and lined up and pin it in place. So once you have that pinned, we're just gonna sew right along that line, and then we're gonna flip it over and we're going to sew the other side down as well. And make sure that you're only sewing through, you know, one side of the bag at a time. Don't sew the entire thing closed. So once both of these lines are sewn down in place, that is all of the sewing that we're going to be doing. So you can go ahead and turn your bag inside out. Make sure that you push out your corners. And now you can see that we have a nice simple bag with this casing at the top for our drawstring to go through. So I'm going to be using this macrame cord that I bought because I think the light pink is really pretty and fun. It's really thick and it isn't too slippery, so it'll really grab onto the fabric. So you'll want to cut 2 pieces, which are each a little bit more than double the width of your bag. Now just grab a large safety pin and we're gonna take the end of the string and we're just gonna put it right through the end there. And then we're going to start from one side and we're going to feed it all the way around the bag. All right, so once that's all the way through, we're just going to tie a little knot right here, close to where it goes into the fabric, just like that, so that you don't end up pulling the string back through. And now we're gonna take our other string and we're gonna do the exact same thing, only we're gonna start from the other side. All right, so now we have this large drawstring bag with these 2 strings that when you pull them, you get a nice closure right here at the top. So there's just one final step, and this is optional, but if you want to, you can cut the ends of the string so that they're the same length, and then you can kind of unravel them and comb them out to make a cute little tassel. All right, so that was so easy and so quick to make. You can make these in all different sizes depending on how much produce you usually buy. And now I'm also going to make some out of this mesh material. I got all of this fabric for less than $8. It doesn't fray, so it works really well for this project. And you just follow the exact same steps. So what do you think? These are so easy to just throw into your reusable shopping bags and bring with you to the grocery store so that you can use a little less plastic every week. Of course, you'll want to wash and dry these before you use them. And I like using the mesh bags for foods like avocados, where they have an outside that you don't eat. And then I like the cotton ones for something like a head of broccoli, where you do eat the entire thing. And that way, the food that you're eating doesn't come into contact with the shopping cart like through the mesh. But since these are so easy to make, you can just make a ton of them in different sizes and materials and just grab whatever you need on your way to the grocery store.
Hey guys, it's Maria Antoinette, and today How perfect is that timing? I am going to be teaching you guys how to make a DIY bug repellent. Here are a few of the things you're going to need for this tutorial. You're going to need distilled water, a spray bottle, witch hazel, glycerin, 1/4 measuring cup, a half a teaspoon, your essential oils, and a funnel because it just makes things easier. All right, let's talk about this tinted glass bottle. You can use whatever bottle you want. I recommend using something that's tinted because it keeps the sun out, which gives you the most out of your essential oils that we're gonna put in it. We're gonna put our funnel on there. We're gonna take our distilled water. We're gonna use a 1/4 cup, which is 2 ounces of liquid. Now we're going to take our witch hazel. You wanna use a natural witch hazel. We're gonna also do 2 ounces or a little bit less. I didn't fill it all the way up on the witch hazel. The benefits to using witch hazel are endless, but for this purpose, it's great for keeping sweat at bay. All right, for the next one, I'm going to be putting in a half a teaspoon of glycerin. And you're probably like, glycerin? That's so sticky. It's so this, it's so that. Yes, it is, but it's amazing for your skin. And even though it has sort of a thick consistency, it's also great for keeping sweat at bay and making sure that moisture stays into your skin because we're using essential oils and other things that we just want to make sure your skin stays the healthiest. So we're going to put that in, half a teaspoon. Now we're going to take our essential oils. You can use one essential oil or you can use a collection or a combination of oils. Today I'm going to be using lavender, rosemary, and peppermint. Now, I like the way those smell together, but they each hold a special component into this bug repellent. You'll notice I didn't say mosquito repellent because each one of these things also fights against other insects. So, lavender is great. The fragrance of it smells amazing. It's calming to us, but the fragrance of it to mosquitoes is a natural repellent. So we're gonna put 15 drops of the lavender in. All right, for my second oil, I'm going to be using rosemary. I am kind of a essential oil snob, if you want to say. I'm really a firm believer in using oils that are high quality. So what does rosemary do? It keeps ants at bay as well as mosquitoes. So now we've covered mosquitoes as well as ants. I'm going to put 15 drops of this in there as well. And let's get down to our last and final oil. I'm going to be using peppermint. Peppermint, besides smelling refreshing and just familiar to us, it's great for keeping away deer ticks. So we're going to be using lavender, rosemary, and peppermint. And I'm also going to do 15 drops of the peppermint. And that, my friends, is the completion of our DIY bug repellent. Super simple, a lot of great benefits, and I mean, mosquitoes, ants, and deer ticks, I think you're covered on that next camping trip, or even just hanging out in your backyard. All right, you'll notice that I made this in a small batch. This is about 4 ounces. This assures that I'm able to get through it before it loses its potency. It's very important to label all of your DIY products so that when someone who wasn't there when you made it comes along and use it, they'll know what's in there. I like using washi tape because it's adorable and it's easy for a non-reading child to identify what's in the product. So for this one, I use flowers because flowers bring insects, and then my child will know bug spray. Washi tape makes everything cuter. I just can't get over it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
The next time you eat an orange, don't toss the peels. Set them aside for these easy, all-natural cleaning sprays. Here's what you'll need to make your own. Lemons, grapefruits, oranges, lavender, rosemary, cinnamon sticks, glass bottle of distilled white vinegar, glass jar or sealable container, spray nozzle, funnel, and a wire mesh strainer. Put your citrus peels in a mason jar with your favorite pairings. I like lemon peels and rosemary sprigs, grapefruit peels and lavender, and orange peels and cinnamon sticks. Once your container is almost full, fill it with vinegar and screw on the lid. Attach a tag with the date and ingredients, and then let the mixture sit for a couple of weeks or up to a month. When it's ready, the vinegar should have a fresh, clean scent. Do even more repurposing by turning that glass vinegar bottle into a spray bottle. You want to fill the glass bottle halfway with filtered water. Then use a strainer and a funnel and fill the jar the rest of the way up with the vinegar solution. After that, screw on a spray nozzle. And now you're ready to freshen up your home. You may notice a faint vinegar smell, but don't worry, that'll fade once the cleaner dries. Get ready to make your kitchen, bathrooms, and floors shine all year long.
Hello, I'm Dennis.
I'm Andrew. We are the Crafty Lumberjacks. Well, warm weather is finally here, and that means it's time for picnics.
Yes, we love to go on picnics.
Yes,
You get to the park, you put
find
out
the perfect spot.
Yes, you lay out your blanket, you get comfy.
And then you got that picnic booty. You
The
get up,
ground is wet.
your butt is wet.
Yes, soaked right through into your jeans.
Oh my gosh, it ruins the whole day.
Yes.
Well, we are gonna waterproof one of our old blankets on Handmade. Let's get started. So we have a piece of vinyl that was cut by the yard, and we cut it to size of our blanket.
So we're gonna start by adding all of our holes to one side, then change out the attachments and start adding our snaps.
Olé. So the great thing about these heavy-duty snap pliers is once you have it, you can punch the hole and you can attach both sides of the snaps with it.
Looks pretty good.
Oh yeah. I almost said, look at that hole.
Look at that hole. Holy moly.
We have our first hole punched, and now we are just going down the line and gonna punch our second hole.
Looks good, looks good.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going.
All right. Now that we've switched our attachment, we're gonna start adding our snaps. Are you looking at me like I'm doing it wrong?
Kind of, but you're doing it right.
All right, you wanna press really hard. There you go.
We have our first little snap.
I mean, look how cute that little brass detail is.
Utterly charming. Oh.
All right, now that we have the right attachment, we're gonna attach our snaps again. There we go. That is nice and secure. Okay, we're gonna keep going down the line.
Now we have our final attachment on this side, and we're gonna finish up our snaps.
Wow. And the process is the same for every single side, so this should be pretty easy. All right, yes. I mean, this is great, and I love what you said. Like, you can put it on a picnic table if you take it apart. If you have more friends come, you can, you know, have 2 blankets.
And bye-bye picnic booty.
Bye-bye picnic booty. Bye-bye.
Now, to make this more manageable and portable, we wanted to create a little strap so that we have a little carrying strap. We can carry it with us on our way to the picnic, and we're gonna snap that together as well.
So right now we're folding our blanket to see how big we want to make the strap. So we found this strap material at our craft store, and we're just going to wrap it around our closed blanket to see how much we need. So I think just about that much. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're just gonna double it because we want 2 straps. And then we're going to measure out and cut 2 straps. This will be to carry the blanket. And we want one the exact size of the width, and then one just a little bit longer. And we'll show you why in a minute. So now we're going to add our snaps to our straps. And we want it pretty nice and tight just so it holds the blanket in nicely. As you can see, the strap is starting to fray. Now you can either take a lighter to this and that will help close it off, but we have these really cute brass details that you've probably seen at like the end of a belt or something like that, and we're just going to press them on. I feel like it's all about the details.
For sure.
All right, now that we're done with the straps, we're gonna add the handle. And now we're just gonna punch through all 3 layers of the straps to connect it all together. And instead of snaps, we have these brass details, which we love because all you have to do is screw them on, and you can actually do it just with your finger. And you can just tighten these by hand instead of using a tool.
Here it is. It looks super cute.
Oh my gosh, I would buy that.
Yes.
That is so cute. You know, in New York, we don't have yards, so picnicking is a huge thing, and we are ready for it this season.
Yes. We want to hear about your tragic picnic stories. Let us know in a comment below. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
welcome back to Handmade. It's me, AV, and today we are talking about candles. You all know I love a good candle. I love a good candle DIY, and my beloved candle is running out of wax, so since I can't burn it anymore, I'm going to upcycle the jar. I'm going to show you how to clean your candle jars and 3 ways to repurpose them. Let's get started. There are a few ways to clean your candle jar. I'm going to tell you about some and then show you my favorite. First, you can take your candle jar, freeze it for an hour, and then the wax will kind of like lift off the sides and you can pop it right out of your glass. It can get tricky depending on the shape of your jar. The second way, you can put hot water into your jar and then the wax gets really, gets loose and you can scoop it out with a spoon. This can get a little messy, but if you have the time, go for it. But this is my favorite. You take a pot of water, we'll put this in there as it's heating. I like this the most because it loosens up the adhesive on the sides and the bottom. So it's like a 2-for-1 situation. As it's melting, you can see the wax melt on the sides and it'll become a pool of wax and you can pour that out and make wax melts. Now that our wax is melted, I'm going to use a mitt because safety first. I'm going to just pour it in this silicone mold and set to the side. It's kind of hot, but as you can see, the adhesive has been loosened and look, voila, magic. Now, there are some kind of like stubborn spots right there, and I'm going to use adhesive remover to take off anything left. To get out the excess wax, you're going to take your paper towel and wipe it out, and then after you got a good amount of it out, you can wash with soap and water. You can make wax melts in anything. I just use a muffin tin, but right now I'm going to show you how to do it in these cute molds. Get a little tilt going on, and you can spoon them in, just like this, and then let them cool. Gets a little messy, but it's all right. And you want to move pretty quickly because your wax will harden pretty quickly. I let the wax set for about 10 to 15 minutes and then I have these wonderful molds. If you have a bunch of different wax colors, you can create a lovely color palette. I'm going to put it in this jar because I need somewhere to store it. And what place better than an old candle jar? Yep, you get it. I'm also going to put a cute little label on it. And now it can be a gift. There are endless things you can do with your clean candle jars. I like to use them for my craft supplies, but you can use it for your vanity, even wrapped candy. I have my color pencils here, and I have a couple of thumbtacks, and last but not least, my embroidery floss. Look at that. And now for my next trick, I'm going to turn these candle jars into a candle holder. Okay, I know that doesn't sound exciting, but trust me, this is going to be a completely different situation. Going to take this candle jar, adhere it to this one, like so. Then we are going to give this the trash to terracotta treatment. Just take my glue gun, like so. I'm going to just put it right here. Now I'm going to make our paint. So I have my bowl. I take some paint and your baking powder, 1 teaspoon, and start mixing it until it gets puffy. You can add more if you would like your terracotta to have a little bit more texture. I like it textured, that raw terracotta. I want it to look like I got it from backpacking somewhere. So we're gonna just stir that in there. And the cool thing about the baking powder, you will actually see the paint kind of like foam up. It will get a thickness to it so it's like mousse, so you have more paint. It's like multiplying the paint. Now you can whip it until all of the chunks are gone, or you can, leave a little bit, leave it a little chunky to add the texture, add the character. Also, you can add a little bit more if you would like. I'm just adding a tad because I told you I like the texture. Okay. As you can see, our paint is getting thicker. Looks like Jello. So now I'm going to take this thicker brush and just get some nice thick coats. Initially, when I was first working on this project, I was using baking soda, and let me tell you from now, you don't want to do that. It took a really long time for it to adhere, and it was a globby mess. So I made that mistake so you wouldn't have to. Use baking powder. All right, we are going to let this dry, and then we're going to paint the inside. And there you have it, guys. I'm gonna let the inside dry, and that's it. I love how this turned out. Like, look how cool it is, and this color is on trend. With this, you can elevate your candle, like literally off the ground, or you can use it as a catch-all, or your centerpiece, or whatever. It's up to you. Wow, I can't believe we made all of this out of candle jars. I can't wait to see what you do with yours, but until then, I am going to use all of these around my house, starting with these wax melts. Bye.
Hey guys!
Hi everybody!
Welcome back to HGTV Handmade. I'm here with Karen. I'm sure you guys have seen her face once or twice. And she is visiting me down here in Texas. Yep. So today we're going to do some fall arts and crafts.
So we actually got these little mini mason jars. They
They're
are
so
cute and so little. And we're going to be turning them into candles.
Yes, so let's get started. To make the candles, you'll need wax flakes, a jar, a candle wick, and fragrance oil. Add hot glue to the bottom of the wick, then secure it to the center of the jar. You'll need to keep the wick centered while you pour the wax, so I used a hair clip to hold it in place. Melt the wax flakes in a microwave, then add in the scent of your choice. Pour in the melted wax, then leave this overnight to set. Try not to move the jar while the wax is hardening. Finish the candle by trimming the wick. Now it's time to decorate the jar.
Now for mine, I decided to cover it with this burlap ribbon. So I just cut it down to size and I used a hot glue gun to attach it. Then I decided to cover the top of the jar with this black and white twine, and I just tied it on.
There are dozens of ways to decorate these jars. Just get creative with burlap or ribbon, and you'll have a cute fall-themed container for your candle.
Hey guys, welcome back to Handmade. I am Maria Antoinette, and today I am going to be walking you through how to take a shoe organizer and change it into an herb garden. So let's get into what you're going to need for this tutorial. You're going to need a utility knife. You're going to want to grab some small gravel stone. I picked mine up at the aquarium store, and they come in a ton of different colors, so you can make this as adventurous as you want to. Of course, you're going to need dirt, and if you don't want to get your hands dirty, it's okay to use a spade. And of course, you're going to need all the herbs of your choice. And last but certainly not least, your container. You can use any shoe organizer you want that hangs on the wall. We're going with the plastic one today, but they do come in cloth, so let's get into the project. All right guys, so once you have your hanging shoe in place and secure where you're going to leave it, you're gonna take your utility knife and you're going to make small holes at the bottom of the plastic. You're gonna wanna make sure that you put these in a brick laying pattern. That way it keeps the most strength inside of the plastic. Another thing, which is why I'm focusing so hard, you wanna make sure that you don't cut all the way through the plastic to the back side. All right, so we have all of our holes punched. I'm ready to take you on to the next stage. This stage is really easy. We're going to line the bottom of each one of these sections with a little bit of this small gravel. It's really important to allow the water to drain down so your roots don't get dry rot. So we're gonna do that lining, our soil, our herbs. So let's get into the soil. All right, guys, let's get dirty. So we're just gonna go ahead and scoop in our dirt. Super easy to do, especially with a spade. It just keeps life so easy. Now with the dirt, you want to make sure you leave about 3 inches from the top, so it gives you space to put the dirt that comes with the herbs into the pocket. All right guys, now you can top off your soil. This is gonna give you a little bit more stability with your plant. This is what it's all about, getting dirty, right? Get your hands in there. Push that soil down. How beautiful is this? Now the really cool thing about this is if you have small children, this also becomes an experiment because you can see the roots start to grow down into that small gravel. Just becomes a full experience. You can eat it, you can see it grow. All right, let's get our next ones in. Now removing your herbs from your containers can be a little bit tricky because sometimes the roots will grow out of these holes. So just take your time, be gentle with it, massage the container, and just let it kind of just fall out, just like that. Now we're gonna just squeeze that. And by squeezing it, it allows the roots to just come alive and realize that they're about to be put in new soil, and just opens them up for a better living environment. When you're placing your herbs into your container garden, you want to think about how they're going to grow. So you have rosemary at the top, which is going to grow straight up. It'll also come out a little bit, but this is going to be your tallest, so you want it at the top. Next, you can either put something like parsley or cilantro. Both of those are going to be longer, fuller, so they're more of your fillers. They're going to fill in this gap and just make it look so lush. One plant goes a long way. When you get down to the bottom, it's great to use your shorter plants that don't grow tall but maybe grow full but they stay short, like oregano or mint. Mint is a great one, and you definitely want to plant mint by itself. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the plants in, and I'll be right back. All right, I got everything in. Now to label it, because that's very important. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just can't keep up with which herb is what. I made some really simple labels, handwritten. If these are going to be outside, I recommend getting them laminated, but just throw them in there and go. How gorgeous did this turn out, right? A great way to reuse your shoe organizer. Not that we don't have enough shoes, but this is the great way to reuse it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Hey everybody! Today on Handmade, we are going eco-friendly because I'm showing you how to make reusable, washable makeup remover pads. I go through so many of the disposable ones, so this is a great project to cut down on waste and to know what you're putting on your face. So it seemed like every tutorial that I found online for how to do this recommended a different type of fabric. So I tried a bunch of them, and the one that I liked the best is this 100% cotton flannel fabric. I bought a yard of this online for under $6, so it's very inexpensive. But if you don't have any, I'll have some alternatives at the end of the video. And I'm also going to be using this decorative cotton fabric for the backside of the makeup pad. So we're going to start by cutting squares of the flannel, and these can be any size you want, but keep in mind that your finished makeup pads will be a little smaller than what you cut. So I'm making mine 3 inches square. Cut the same size squares from the decorative fabric. Now you'll want to pin the squares together with the right sides facing each other. Then we're going to sew along the edge, leaving a 1-inch gap. I'm doing this on my sewing machine with a simple straight stitch, so just start on one side of the gap, making sure to backstitch to hold it in place, and then sew all the way around. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can definitely hand stitch this, but this is a great beginner project if you're just starting to learn how to use a sewing machine. So once that's done, clip the corners, making sure not to cut through the thread, then carefully turn it inside out. I'm using a plastic sewing needle to push out the corners, but you can use anything similar that you already have. Now gently fold in the fabric from where you left the gap, and then use an iron to press it on both sides, which will make the edges nice and crisp. Then bring it back to the sewing machine and sew all the way around the edge one more time. And that's literally all there is to it. The great thing about this project is that you can make tons of these all at once. I made this whole stack in just a few hours. You could make a set of these as a gift for the holidays, and as I said, if you're just learning how to sew, this is a really easy first project to try. Also, it's nice that you don't have to be overly precise, so if some of them turn out a little bit wonky, that's totally fine. So obviously you'll want to wash these before you use them, and then you'll just want to add your favorite makeup remover. I'm using micellar water, and then you'll just remove your makeup. Look at all that, it's all coming off, it totally works. Literally, is there any better feeling than taking off your makeup at the end of a long day? You know, I think this is the first time that you'll have seen me on this channel without makeup, so welcome to my natural face. So once all of your makeup is removed, this is still a little damp, so you'll want to let it dry out. And you can collect all of them in a garment bag and you can pop it in the washing machine, or you could wash these in a bowl by hand. So of course, the beauty of this is that you can make these totally customizable to yourself. When I was looking up how to do it, all the different tutorials recommended different fabrics. So I also tried baby washcloths, and I also tried t-shirt fabric. I found that the flannel felt nicest on my skin, and it was the easiest for my sewing machine to sew. But if you don't have that, either of these two alternatives totally work. And okay, before you say anything, I know you're probably wondering, why wouldn't you just put the flannel fabric on both sides? Well, this is HGTV, and we like things to be pretty. okay? But yes, I did also make a handful of double-sided makeup wipes, and these are great if you wear more makeup than I do, or if you just want different options depending on how much makeup you're wearing. It totally still works, you just won't have those fun colors to brighten up your bathroom. You can also totally make these different sizes. So here I made some really big ones, which will be great if I'm wearing a lot of makeup one day and I just need a little more surface area to take it all off. So one afternoon of sewing, and that's one more thing you'll never have to buy at the drugstore ever again. I'd love to know in a comment what reusable things you have made to replace disposable items. We're all doing our part and no one's perfect, but any small change that you can make is only a good thing.
Crayons, crayons, crayons. Crayons, I did crayons sometime. Hi y'all, welcome back to Handmade. I'm Jill. Most of us here are probably pretty crafty and can agree on how exciting it is to open a brand new box of crayons. The bright colors, the pointy tips, the possibilities of what you're gonna make, but it's a pretty big bummer when you break one or they start to get a little bit grubby. Between my daughter and I, we have collected this entire jar full of broken crayons, and I didn't want to just throw them away. Today we're gonna upcycle these and turn them into brand new, bright, colorful shapes that are gonna make a beautiful gift. Let's get started. The supplies you need for this project are crayons, a sharp craft knife, a bowl of water, silicone molds, a baking sheet, and packaging supplies. The first step is to remove all of the labels. You can do this by using a craft blade to slice down the label and peeling it off. This method is kind of therapeutic if you have time, but it can be a little messy and time consuming. So, pro tip, save yourself some time and toss them all in a container of hot tap water. All right, these have been soaking for about 15 minutes, and you can see some of the labels have just come off by themselves. And that was easy. Some of them just need a little help, but that is way easier. The next step is to make these into much smaller pieces. You can break them by hand, or you can use a knife if need be. Just crack these into smaller pieces. This is about the right size. It's actually probably about 1/2 inch. I'm gonna sort mine by color because I'm gonna try to make my letters into a bit of a colorful pattern. You don't want them to be too big. Today, I'm gonna be making letters and heart shapes. I thought we might give these as a little gift for Valentine's Day for the kiddos in my daughter's class, but you can buy all kinds of silicone molds. I saw stars, cactuses, animals, robots, really just about anything that you can think of. So, I'm just gonna figure out the letters that I need to spell out a name, and I'm gonna fill each letter to the top. Then I'm gonna do the same thing with the hearts. Now it's time to melt our crayons. So you can see how these things are pretty flimsy. I don't want to pull these out of the oven full of hot melted wax and them be flimsy and make a mess. So I'm just gonna put them on a regular baking sheet lined with parchment paper just in case anything spills out. This will make it way easier to get them out of the oven. I'm just gonna go put these in the oven that I've preheated to 300 degrees for between 10 and 15 minutes. I'm gonna keep checking on them. Okay, so these look great. They are fully melted, and now I'm gonna let them sit and cool completely for about 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay, so I let these chill for about an hour, and now all we're gonna do is pop them out. You wanna be very careful to not break any of our letters. All right, the last and final step is to package these guys up. I just have these little jewelry boxes that I bought at the craft store, made for necklaces. And all I'm gonna do is put a little bit of this shredded paper down on the bottom to cushion the letters. All right, that couldn't have been any more perfect. And we are including a printable for you. I'll include the link in the comments below, but it says color your heart out. And I am just gonna cut this out. I'm gonna tie my box closed of this adorable rainbow ribbon. Trim up my edges. And I have an adorable package.
Let's see, what else am I gonna find? Oh, there's dogs. I love dogs. Mama did it. Welcome back to Handmade. I'm Cassidy, and one of the #1 things I like to do is make super fun stuff on the cheap. So we're gonna use free old magazines that I had just laying around and upcycle them into really fun decor and gifts for our friends. Let's get started. For this first project, we're going to take this ordinary box and turn it into a cute catch-all for your desk or your craft room. I wanted to use magazine pages and create a pleated effect around my box. So grab your magazines and pick a color palette. I'm going with blues, greens, and a little pop of pink. So to cut out all of your paper, you could use scissors, but I like to use a paper cutter. It makes it a little faster. The first thing I'm going to cut is my square, which is going to be the anchor point for my pleats. And I'm going to use my box, and I'm going to keep the lid on so that it starts here so that you can still open and close the container. There's your square. So now that we're finished with this, we're gonna set it aside and we're gonna cut a whole bunch of rectangles that are half the size of this square. Take your anchor point piece and just fold it in half. That'll be our starting point. And then I'm gonna just take the extra rectangles and fold 1/4 of the edge down. The flap is going to give you a surface area to glue them to each other. When I'm gluing them, they don't have to be perfectly aligned, just keep it generally centered. Because this takes a hot minute, I went ahead and stepped it out a little bit. This way you get a better visual of the effect, how it's gonna look on our container. Now that I've attached to the anchor point, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along the pleats as I go, just to kind of attach it to make it extra secure. If it's just a little bit too long whenever you attach it to the box, just use some scissors, trim it short. So this looks great as is, but I can't help myself. I want to take it up a notch. So we're going to do just a few more things to get this finished. Spray with acrylic sealer for shine and texture. So once your sealer's dried, add a knob. I don't think anyone is gonna guess this was made from magazines, but I still have 2 more to show you. Quilling is having a real moment right now, and if you want an in-depth video on that, go check out my buddy's video, The Crafty Lumberjacks.
And this year we're trying quilling.
Quilling!
Instead of using quilling paper, I'm going to use magazine pages and scrap paper to make art. So if you want your beads to be lots of different sizes, you can make them extra thick just by adding lengths. So this is obviously as long as your magazine page is going to be. So to make this even longer before you quill, cut 4 of these, glue them at the ends, and there you go. You have your quilling paper. Now let's roll it up. Place it in the slotted tool and roll it. And if you're looking for a quick craft, this is not for you. But if you're one of those people that likes to do something with your hands while watching a show, then this is great. Take up quilling. We're at the end of our quill.
roll, we're just going to put a little dab of hot glue. Now you see it's attached. One of the things that I learned when I quilled with magazine paper is it slides off and it unraveled. So to keep that tight, I just took a pair of scissors, clamp down to the metal, and then just slide off your bead. So you see how tiny this is and how much time and effort went into it. So this project's definitely gonna use a little bit of patience, but it's beautiful in the end. I'm gonna show you how to turn these tiny little beads into art. We're going for kind of an eclectic textile art effect. So I put the beads on and I just kind of place them first. Put a dab of hot glue, then you just place those beads. With a little bit of paper and a lot of time, you can have an almost free piece of art. But you're not done with me yet. We have one more project. Get ready. If you're too cheap for a standing desk, then this is gonna help you out. To start out on this one, you just need your 2 wooden plaques and you can paint them whatever color you want. I chose white. Take your magazines. If you use a lot of decoupage glue, this tool will change your life. It'll make it so much easier. You just literally take it, squeeze it, and then roll it on. For this project, this is literally how easy it is. Glue. Smash! It's perfect. Then make sure that these seams are lined up perfectly, and then you can make any color pattern you want as you stack them. You can make this as tall or as short as you need. If you're like me and have 5'3" problems, then you're gonna need yours to be a little bit shorter. So now that I have my stack and it's glued together, I also want to just put a layer of glue around the edges just for extra support. So our magazines are dried, let's attach our plaques. I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue. Now we just need to add our chipboard letters. And adding the letters is optional, but come on, it's cute. This turned out so cute, and all that's missing is my laptop. Now I have the perfect standing desk, and I didn't have to pay a fortune. These projects turned out so great and fabulous. I mean, these were just a bunch of magazines sitting around my house and collecting dust, and now they're things I actually want to showcase, like on bookshelves or my desk or on a gallery wall.
Frames aren't only for photos, and there are so many fun memories and mementos that you can frame to make beautiful art for your wall. Plus, it's such a fun, affordable idea. I wanted a piece that reflects the Southwest, since that's where we call home. So I used some scrapbook paper to make a mat and added a little clay cactus that I found. Plants are really important to me, and I always need a touch of green in my space, so I found this tiny wreath and thought it was the perfect nod to that passion. I paired it with patterned scrapbook paper and simply glued the wreath onto the frame. Lastly, I wanted to remember our recent trip to St. Louis, where we stayed in the cutest blue rental home. I painted a small wooden house blue and then glued it to the frame, adding a few extra embellishments to finish it off. And that's it. These turned out so cute, and they're a great reminder that you can frame anything that feels special or is just beautiful to look at.